let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
And we are live with 19 inches of Venom. Let's go, everybody. Yes, this is Super PlayStation Bros. I am your host, Rudix, co-host, Doragon, joined by 19 inches of Venom. Oh my gosh, look at it in all of its glory.
It is a bit of a monster. Like, just put it up against my face. Ow. It's huge. It is ridiculous, but it sits here on my desk. He and Spidey's watch me work every single day. Like, he is huge. Look at him. Right,
Wow.
I swear this trophy's smaller than this guy.
Yeah. That is a Masso statue. And so the 19 inches, does that measure from the very top of Miles? Is that what's happening?
I think so, yeah, because if you just take Venom himself, he's about, I think it's 12 inches is a foot, isn't it? So he's around about the 12-inch mark, and then you've got the two Spideys atop him, which give him more height. So yeah, I think it is including everything from like the very top of Miles's hand all the way down to this base, but he is a bit of a beast overall, and there are three of them sort of thing, so it's like, it's huge, it's ridiculous, it is so detailed, like the muscles, the suits, the fact that there's treads on the soles of the feet is utterly ridiculous to me. But yeah, it's been sitting pride of place since last Thursday when it came through the door.
When you constructed it in all of its glory.
Yep.
As that, it didn't come as one set, obviously. It'd be a 19-inch box, but
I mean, the box is I could go get the box if you want. That's even bigger.
It was a pretty monster box, that's true to say.
Like that thing was about my body size. There's a lot of packaging. I was kind of surprised when it came through the door. Like, you hear how big it's going to be, but then you see how it is. I was expecting to construct both Spider-Men and stick them on, but Miles is fully attached to him. It's only Pete that you have to stick into his shoulder on the web. But that's like 2 slots ready made, slot it together and away you go. That easy. It's huge. It's ridiculous. It's like, just to put it in comparison, this was the last statue I got from a game, which was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like, size wise, there's not really a comparison. Like,
Yeah.
Dialga's meant to be a god. Just saying.
Aliens can be gods in their own rights, right? And through the various lore. Oh, yes, I got the chat.
So much lore, yes. Hey, there we go.
What up,
so, yeah,
Mountain Man? Mountain Gaming Incorporated. Oh, wow. Moving up in the world. CEO.
Oh, yeah, he's gone ink now. Incorp.
Well, let's get through our busy work in the beginning here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share out the podcast. You can find me and Dorgon on social media. Our tags are right there and in the description in the YouTube link. And also, Dorgon, what have you been playing this week? I don't think I need to guess too much.
I've actually been playing quite a lot of stuff, because this last Monday, as we will get into later, PS5 game streaming has launched for PlayStation here in the UK. So Yeah, I've been playing more than just Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man 2 has been the absolute core of my game time experience. Unfortunately, life is rather busy this time of year in my family, so I haven't had anywhere near the amount of time with the game that I would like to have. I'm only about 7 hours in. I have just got to a point where we start to learn about the Venom symbiote and everything, which is what everybody wants to get to. So I am very early in the story, very, very early in the story. I haven't experienced much of it at all in that regard. What I have experienced, I like. Outside of that, I've put a bit of time into Demon's Souls. I've been getting on that Soulsborne train. I've put a bit of time into Miles Morales as well, because once you start, you keep going. I got very distracted doing that one. Otherwise, it's just been capturing footage for videos and such. So there's been a bit of Starfield play, been a bit of other stuff over that side of the fence, but mostly Spider-Man 2. That has been the core experience this last week. And I don't think I need to ask what you've been playing, but just
Oh
to
yeah.
give you the time, what have you been playing, Rudix?
Spider-Man 2 has been the only thing on the screen. Going for the plat. I didn't think I was going to do the plat because I never typically do, but I find myself searching out everything to do in this game because it's so fun to either get to it or do the activity. Um, like the Miles Mysterio little mini games. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is just a simple fighting thing," but it really challenges you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that aspect, and I have come to, I would say, the precipice of the end. So I am not going to say any spoilers here. The footage you're seeing is merely the opening bit. And yes, Ray, I saw Evan beat the game. And even when Evan beat the game and he was talking about it in the background, I took off my headphones. I was like, no, I
Yeah,
can't
just
hear the end. So I know nobody wants spoilers here, but it gets exponentially better at every corner. Um, the
that's great to
trajectory
hear.
is just straight up tenfolds. The emotions are so high in all of these things. And the side quests, how do they do the side quests so amazingly? I mean, they went from side quests just being busy work around the map throughout this game, and they've evolved to full-fledged parts of the stories, if not their own stories on their own. So I really love to see that, and it shows a lot of good hard work. My only huge issue is that I'm almost done. I want more of this. What do you mean I'm almost done? I want to be just at the I want this to be Final Fantasy 7 long. Like, let's go. Let's keep going and going and going. Like, I love it. Having fun. 100% recommend. Obviously, this is Sony's fastest selling game, and we'll get into that more. But it's not one to miss. Go out, buy a PlayStation 5 and play this game.
Just casually drop $500 on something, yeah.
But be warned, it's not the longest. It's not the longest experience if you sit down and power through it. Uh
I don't mind that. I like shorter
yeah,
games. We've said this multiple times on the show before. Like, we're adults. We've got lives to live through. As kids out there, they've got schools to live through and such like that. So for me, it's fine for it to not be a 300-hour epic. I want shorter experiences to go with those longer experiences, as long as it's high quality. And even in the case of something like Spider-Man leaves me wanting more, I'm all for that. Give me those shorter experiences, but crank that quality up, as you say.
exactly. But I wish, and I don't even know this for sure because I have not got to the end. But in Ragnarok, when you get to the end and you beat Odin, and then there's actually a continuation. You have to go search out this and find her, and I wish there was something like that at the end. I don't know if there is or not, but that would be nice to see. But I mean, after all the success, we keep hearing rumors of DLC. So who knows? And we'll report on that when we hear something more firm, of course. But yeah, maybe DLC coming in the future for this after all that success. But let's get into some story news. And why did I suggest to go out and buy a PS5 and play it, Dorgon? Well, it's probably because of a story that you sent me this morning.
Well, which story would that one be, dear Rudigs? Perchance.
Well, I was about to switch it, but then I'm like, oh my god, should we just talk a little bit more about Spider-Man? Because look at, I mean,
Dude,
I'm watching the
you're
boss
hyped
fights.
about it. You're
The
hyped
boss
about it.
fight
The
is,
video is on screen. Shall we
yeah.
just talk about the game? Get that section of the show out of the way, and then we can move on.
Well, do you have anything more to share about Spider-Man in any aspect? It's
I would
hard for me to go
say,
without spoilers, so I'm trying
yeah,
very hard.
I would say if you haven't played it yet, do not expect a perfectly flawless experience. I have hit so many bugs and glitches in the 7 hours that I have played that there have been times I've just given up playing. I've just put the controller down and walked away from the console because they've annoyed me that much. It does get in the way of the storytelling, it does get in the way of the gameplay. So this is not the best game that Insomniac have ever released by any stretch of the imagination. It is probably one of the worst we've had from them in the last 10 years, which is disappointing, but there is still enough in the title to make you want to go back and play more of it. I'm hoping that they address many of these bugs, many of these glitches, many of these issues with a patch soon, but it's disappointing to see this level of them in just the first, barely the introduction of the game that I have witnessed so far. So I do hope that's improved, and anybody who hasn't played it, it is something to be aware of. If you're buying it before any patches are released, that you will have to deal with technical issues throughout the title.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, even when I was streaming it last night, there was areas where I was literally just frozen solid. I could
Yeah.
not move, and I just had to restart from checkpoint. Albeit it's not like, oh my gosh, this is terrible and horrible. Like it set me back 3 seconds. But I would like to see better performance out of PlayStation's only game they released this year. However, I keep feeling like we're just still getting the symptoms and the crap from work at home games over the pandemic. That could be
To
it.
a degree, to a degree. I also think Insomniac take a huge amount of pride in releasing a game when they say they're going to release a game. And for decades, this hasn't been a problem. From all the way back in the PlayStation 1 era with the original Spyro the Dragon, they've released a game when they've said they're going to release a game. And it's been a really well performing game. Like, there's never been game breaking issues per se. There's never been this sort of level of bugs. Look at Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I do apologize, beg your pardon. Look at Spider-Man Miles Morales. Look at Spider-Man Remastered and the original Spider-Man on the PS4. They didn't have technical issues of this level. And I do hear what you're saying with the checkpoint restart as well. It's very easy to do. And if it's in a gameplay segment, you just restart the checkpoint and off you go. It's no real problem. I've had issues in cutscenes. I've had close-ups of people's faces with their coats sort of just up in front of their face. It's just glitched through their body, covered their face, and I can't replay that cutscene. I can't
Uh-huh.
reload a checkpoint, get that cutscene again. If I do anything, the option is to skip the cutscene. And
Yeah.
it really does detract from the experience that you're having. I've had moments where I've been stuck under a table. There's a flashback where you have to crawl under a table to stay out the eye line of a guard. And I reloaded the checkpoint on that 3 times and got stuck under that table 3 times. On the last time, the only way I got out was by picking the controller up and shaking it violently. And he just popped out at one point. So, yeah, beware of the performance issues. They are there, they are real, they are impactful. And despite an amazing game underneath all this, it can be enough to put people off for the meantime.
Wow. Well, I will say hold off until you beat this one before you say it's the not the pinnacle of Insomniac just yet. Um but I do hear you on performance issues. It's kind of how I felt like with Forspoken, how people said it was continually broken, game-breaking glitches. However, when I played it 6 months, 8 months down the line, it seemed to run flawlessly. So I really feel like this game is going to be one that benefits from that 6 months patch. Uh, but it's not great that we should be having this state of games being released, especially when you're the only game being released for PlayStation that year. And I agree.
100%, yeah.
There's been a handful of bugs. I'm walking through the school and somebody's not sitting at the picnic table. They're sitting in the table. Like their body is just in the, and it's like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff just takes you out of the immersion, and you're like,
That one's
but
an
the
immersion
cutscene
issue.
stuff.
It's a minor thing. As you said, the cutscene stuff, but I saw one on your gameplay actually, which really shocked me. You were beating up on one of the hunters in one of the very early story missions, and they just kept bouncing. They were bouncing into
Oh,
the air, bouncing off civilians. Like you couldn't finish the engagement because this person would not land on solid land and allow you to fight them. They were just bouncing all over the map, no matter what you did. So yeah, there are challenges, and as you say, we shouldn't be putting up with this, especially not as this is the only PlayStation Studios exclusive game this year. And the one from the third-party games, like Final Fantasy 16, was a flawless technical experience for pretty much everyone out there. Like the internal studios should be doing better.
and Callie, yes, water does destroy sand. That's science. Don't question it.
As someone who has worked in water sports and has lost an entire beach, yeah, water will just wash sand away.
That's why the beaches are filled with sand, because water destroys. Oh, wait, what? Uh. Anyways, we'll get into this.
I wondered where you were going then.
So, Spider-Man's great. There's a little bit of bugs here and there. I blame it on work from home. I think performance, that gold star rating needs to be like risen. People need to do better. They need to be held to a higher accountability when releasing a game, but we'll see how that pans out in the future. Let's get into some game news. I think we've seen enough Spider-Man Miles
We've
and the
seen enough
Sandman.
Spidey now, yeah. We've seen sand getting washed away enough.
Yes, Callie's pointed it out. Yeah. All right. Why should you scrap the PS4? Well, because the PS4 is reached its life cycle. I believe
The PS4 is no more.
we've stopped making games. Not we, but PlayStation has stopped releasing games as of MLB 2023, the show this year. Um, I am saying thank you. Oh my gosh, stop with the PS4. I mean, I'd say that by having a PS5, and I apologize for everyone who has a PS4 and you're like, "Oh no, my world is ending." But it's like I feel like you guys were holding back the games I want to play. Sorry.
To a degree, you've already touched on it a little bit with the whole games releasing with issues from the work from home situation. Like you get so far through development and then things evolve and they have knock-on effects on one another. The PS4 was probably never meant to last as long as it has with full support into this generation. But the world sort of ended just before the PlayStation 5 was launched. So things like your superconductors, which go into the chipsets which power all of these consoles, they weren't being created, they weren't being dug up, they weren't being recycled. And so we ended up with these massive supply line shortages for nearly 2 years after the PlayStation 5 launched. So Sony sort of had to switch tack, right? They started off with this whole, we believe in generations, the PS4 will be dropped pretty quickly, pretty sharpish. And then the world turned around and said, ha ha ha, no. Um, so the PlayStation 4 was supported much longer than it was originally supposed to be by PlayStation, simply because they couldn't get the PlayStation 5s out into the world. That there wasn't the supply of the parts that they needed to make the consoles. And if they then wanted to continue making the profits, making the money to make more games, and so on and so forth, and continue as a business, they really needed to change tack and support that PlayStation 4 fully for longer. It's why we've seen things like Horizon Forbidden West get a full PlayStation 4 release as well as PlayStation 5. God of War Ragnarok was slightly different. It was built as a PlayStation 4 game and upgraded to a PlayStation 5 title. But you've seen other things come out. We've had Jedi Fallen Survivor earlier this year, which is now getting a previous generation release because the creators are missing out on revenue from older consoles. And it's just the way the world's been. I'm personally in the same boat as you now. I am glad that PlayStation themselves are not making games and producing games for the previous generation. I do think it is time to start moving forward, pushing these consoles, making games for the players who've bought into this new ecosystem, especially things like with the headsets, like with the Portal that's coming up, like with the PSVR 2 and such. We need to see that investment into this generation of console, and dropping support for the previous gen frees up resources to be able to do that. Now, that's not to say we won't get releases on the PlayStation 4 previous gen, but they'll be from third-party providers and publishers at that point. So yeah, we're seeing a push into the new gen, this current gen, from PlayStation directly, and I think that is a good thing moving forward. It's the right sort of time frame to drop that support, 3 years.
Yeah, and definitely the release of the PS4 Pro helped extend the life, but I think what a stretch. 10 years of producing some high quality games, lots of experiences that have definitely shaped a generation of gamers, such as, I mean, I see Bloodborne on the list, Infamous, huge game, Little Big Planet. Wow, all these PS4 memories. Neo, Spider-Man, obviously. I mean, God of War. Well, it's time. It's time to move on.
Indeed, yeah. It's a sad day, and if you have a PS4, it's not going away. It's not like you're not going to have anything to play with it. There's 800 games on Plus, for example, that you can still play on the console. It's just a case of the company needs to move forward, and those with a PlayStation 5, they need to be rewarded a little bit, I'd say,
Yeah.
with good gaming experiences.
Thank you. Where's my reward? Where's my carrot for my pony?
Where's my carrot on the stick? Yeah.
What up, Any Yoke? Thanks for stopping on by. I appreciate you checking out the show.
Hi,
Now,
Eniok. Lovely to see you.
hopefully my PS4 controllers are still usable. Can you use PS4 controllers on PS5? I've never even thought of
This
that.
is my 200 million PS4 controller. So this came with my 200 million PlayStation 4 console. So it's a lovely translucent blue. It's not currently connected to my PlayStation 4. I've got a 20th anniversary one that's connected to the PlayStation 4. This is connected to my Android tablet. So all of my cloud gaming, all of my Android gaming, it's done with this controller, which is great. And it will also work. You can pair it up to your PlayStation 5, but it won't work with PlayStation 5 games. So if you want to use Returnal, for example, a PlayStation 5 exclusive title, you wouldn't be able to use this directly on the console. But if you paired it up to your phone or tablet and then remote played to your console, you could play Returnal using this controller. So yeah, your PlayStation 4 controller will still have uses. You can make your own PlayStation Portal, so that PlayStation 5 remote player thing, using your PlayStation 4 controller to access your PlayStation 5 from a phone, from a tablet. Like, there's loads of use cases for it. And let's not forget, game preservation. A lot of people are going to hold on to their PlayStation 4s. You're going to need a PlayStation 4 controller to use with the PlayStation 4. So yeah, there's still going to be a lot of use cases for these controllers.
And I believe he means 200 million by that is the addition of the PlayStation 4 that was being sold when they hit the 200 million units sold. I assume. I don't think Doragon paid $200 million for this, or else I'd be asking some questions.
No, it was
about his financial decisions.
£270 or something. Translucent blue PS4 Pro. So I managed to get my 4K upgrade in time for the original Spider-Man, Spider-Man in 2018. It was good time in that release.
Well, this is I had to read this one maybe 2 or 3 times to understand it.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
So goodbye PS4. So long we loved you. Now PS5 Slim, the next generation of PS5. We're looking at a Blu-ray disc drive that you'll need an internet connection for. And what I'm reading from the article is that if PlayStation or Sony decides to shut down the servers, the optional disc drive will be obsolete.
This is what I'm taking from it. Now, bear in mind,
Yeah.
we don't have any confirmation on this at this moment in time. This is information from small print on what appears to be the PS5 Slim's instruction manual. I am hoping that this isn't the case because it is an incredibly dumb practice if it is. The PlayStation 5 is one of the best all round media units that you can buy because it has a 4K Ultra HD Blu ray player built into it. It allows you to access basically all of your streaming services and some streaming services that aren't available elsewhere, like the Sony Core, I think it's called, their movie platform, which gives you the best quality picture and audio available via streaming. And it also, of course, gives you all of these games, whether you're streaming those games from the internet, whether you're downloading those games onto your SSD or playing them from an external hard drive for previous generation titles. It's an amazing entertainment device. And especially when I got it, it was £450 rather than the 500 that it is now. Brilliant value for money. However, what we're getting here, this modular PS5 that they're releasing that allows you to just buy the digital edition and then strap a disk drive to it if you so fancy, it's saying it needs an internet connection. Now, I am hoping that that is a one-time internet connection to pair the disk drive fully to the PlayStation 5 so that it can download all of the internet-specific stuff for these 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays, because you will get internet specific information. You can have like IMDb up on the side through 4K Blu-rays and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm hoping this is for. It's a pairing to the console to allow the full capability of what that drive can do. If it is a case of what this article is thinking, that you need an internet connection for the drive to work at all, there will come a time in history where PlayStation turns that server off and that disk drive that might still be in full working order becomes completely obsolete. And it's icky. From a consumer perspective, that feels icky. And I am hoping it's just a pairing situation. But judging by what companies have been doing over the past 12 months and judging how weird PlayStation have been with their releases and information that they're giving to us, I wouldn't put it past them. So, you need an internet connection to use your Blu-ray player that won't work if you don't have an internet connection.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but we'll be waiting to hear, I guess, the official confirmation on whether or not that's the case. But I guess it's something to keep in mind. But like they say in the article, it's nothing to really panic about. I mean, you don't foresee Sony shutting down these servers before the technology gets, replaced in your own household. So that's what I realistically think of this situation.
Yeah, there's positives to take from it. As you say, it's not something that's going to be shut down especially whilst the PlayStation 5 is in circulation. And that'll even be after, if we get a PlayStation 6, that comes into circulation. And they may keep the same sort of setup for that next console as well. So they'll still keep the servers going. But like you say, there might come a point in history. And from a preservation perspective, because it's something we're really struggling with in the video game industry, preserving our video game content, very questionable.
I just want to give a shout out to FCat. He 100% trolled me. So cheers to that. I went to go DM him for a link. I was like, "Oh, new CEO, send me the link." And he 100% trolled me. So GG's to you, good sir. You got me. You got me big. And then he sends me a message. He said that was a joke.
Oh my
Well,
god! Yeah, Don Matic is the new
who's
PlayStation
that?
CEO. No,
Who's Don
no.
Matic? Why do I not know who that is?
If I remember correctly, Don Matic is the guy who released a VHS player instead of an Xbox and destroyed them in the last generation. If I'm remembering correctly. He released a
Okay.
video player, not a games console. He was the one who came up with the whole DRM thing, which PlayStation used with this is how you share games. There you go. Yeah, so that is who I understand on Matic to be. I might be wrong in that one. Please correct me if I am wrong, but that's what I'm remembering.
Okay. So he's a marketing guy. All right. Well, let's
He's a disaster. He's a walking disaster, yeah.
let's cover some these two somber news, and then we'll get into some other things here. So we got layoffs hitting visual arts, and we got layoffs hitting Media Molecule. It's unfortunate to see. Um, I don't like to see people getting laid off, but I mean, there was a drought in games released this year. They must need to do some reshuffling. I'm not sure the situations, but it sucks to see. Maybe AI came in and is replacing a lot of these jobs, but
I hope not. Especially with visual arts, I really hope it's not AI driven, because if it is, we are in for the worst art in the industry going. AI art is shockingly bad. It is so bad, it's not even
oh,
funny.
it's
And
horrible. I think
anything human
lo-fi.
created is better.
I think Lo-Fi was telling me that AI art is now starting to copy its own AI art, and we're just getting like the
Yeah,
most messed up images.
like it
So,
couldn't do hands anyway, but when it's copying hands that have got like 4 fingers or 6 fingers or something, it's just making it worse. And I'm really hoping it's not generative AI that's impacting these studios. Media Molecule, they've just moved on to their new game, and I I hate to justify such a thing, because if you've got people working there and they've done a grand job for you previously, you should make sure that you continue supporting them and they continue working there the best you possibly can. But if they're moving on to a new game that these guys' skills don't match, like that they're not, there's no place for them on this new title. You're sort of trying to make something up for them. This is what the air I'm getting from what they've said. Like, we're moving on to a new game, got different processes, visions, and all this sort of stuff. So I feel it's a case of they need to hire people into those positions who are better suited to what they're making in the future. And I'm hoping that they bring that media molecule magic that we've had with Dreams, that we've had with Little Big Planet, that we've had with Tearaway and Co. into whatever they do next. But it's still terrible to see 20 people from a wonderful developer lose their job. The great thing is that they're being fully supported under both the British employment system, and Media Molecules want to do right by their employees, which is nice. It's such a sad situation of the industry as a whole. It's almost every other week we're talking about people losing their jobs. And when we've got, as you say, such a drought of games, from the outside, it feels like, well, why aren't you hiring more people to make more games? That's what it feels like from a consumer perspective. And just to see more and more and more people getting laid off, it makes you worry about the future of all of these platforms, not just PlayStation.
yeah, it's somber to hear, and we wish them the best, and we hope that they're able to land on their feet. But yeah, it's somber,
Thanks for
but
confirming, FCAT. Appreciate that one.
yeah, thanks. Let's move on to something nicer. Record set.
We
So
like records set.
2.5 milli in 24 hours. I almost feel like, this is a success for like my sports team type of thing. I like to see it. Very strong launch, obviously. There was talk of possibly doing DLC because of such a strong sale. So this includes the pre-orders. It includes the console combos. It doesn't include merchandise, right? Like what you have. That wouldn't.
Well, that comes with a copy of the
That's
game.
part of the yeah, that's part of the master
So
edition.
anything that has the game included has been counted in these sales. So that makes this completely mind-boggling. When I first saw this figure, I did some rough mathematics. I based it off the base $70, £70 game if they just sold 2.5 million of like the cheapest version of the game available. If that were the case, Insomniac in one day made $175 million. They basically made development costs back in one day. Everything beyond that is profit. That's mad. That is utterly insane to me. Like, that's a lot of money, a heck of a lot of money.
That
But it's also how much it costs.
Yeah, but that green lights you to go forward and make something else, right? I mean,
to make something new, to make a different IP, a new IP, go back to an old IP. Like you say, it gives you the creative freedom a little bit because of the success you've had with this current game. It's the same as Santa Monica. They took a massive risk with God of War in 2018, changing up the formula of what came before, and sticking with God of War after Ascension had been a bit of a commercial and critical flop. So to stick with Kratos, to stick with God of War and reinvent it for 2018 was a massive risk. But because they've done so well on their other games previously, it gave them that creative freedom and the trust of Sony in terms of publishing rights and such. So yeah, it's going to be interesting into what Insomniac do moving forward. I don't want them to become an adaptation studio because they've got Wolverine coming up as well, and that's another Marvel adaptation. I love Insomniac's original works. I love the Resistance series. I love the Spyro series. I love the Crackdown series, the Sunset Overdrive series.
we do not. The official stance of this show is we do not love Crackdown.
Crackdown was a different developer more than anything else.
I didn't like Crackdown. And yeah, Callie, the rumor on the street is that the optional disk drive for the PS5 Slim will require internet. We'll let you know once we hear for sure.
Yeah, we need confirmation on that one. It is just rumor at the moment, as you say, but confirmation. But yeah, 2.5 million in a day, that is some mad figures. And the actual take home that they've made from that will be much higher because, as you say, there's console sales in there. There's the collector's editions, which were £200, $220, that sort of range of costs.
And then the deluxe, how many people got in early for those costumes?
Yeah, you're talking another 10 to 20 bucks for every purchase there and what have you. So yeah, they've made their development money back, which is great to see for the studio. Hopefully they can put some of that to work on cleaning it up with patches so that the performance is better, and then they can start looking at what to make next with all of the profits.
Money, money, money. Well, it's great news. I'm enjoying it myself, and it's definitely worth a playthrough if you're into the Marvel universe. They do change a lot of things from the MCU, from the
thankfully.
Yeah, so it's a different experience. They're different characters. It's cool and interesting to see. And the Mary Jane sequences, I will tell you, are so much better, tenfolds better in this one. So kudos to them for listening and making it better. Here we have back to the PlayStation blog now. Let's see what's going on in this world. Oh, this one is for the vet of the world, the Mountain Man Gaming.
The cozy gamers out there, yes.
So we have Cozy Cottage Core Adventure. So cottaging, I've always wondered this because Hannah told me about this. In England, do you guys have cottages?
We do have cottages. Cottages are generally older, smaller homes. Most of them are older than your country. But they are tiny. They are an issue for people like me who are 187 centimeters tall. I can't get through the front door and I can't stand up inside a cottage. But what they tend to come with is a lot of nice land. It's generally farmed so that you've got fresh fruit and vegetables on hand for an individual household. And they're just cozy and nice and full of wildlife. And imagine Snow White and whistling to the birds. Is that Snow White? Is that Sleeping Beauty? Whoever whistles to the birds in Disney. Imagine what that sort of vision, but we actually have them.
Oh wow! So we're like you're a little bit taller than me. I'm 180 centimeters. But yeah, the thing I was saying is that in Canada, cottage lifestyle is sort of like a part of our tradition and culture, like a log cabin by the woods by the lake. Not so much in American cultures, but yeah, just something I find interesting because I feel like we got the term from the English, cottaging. Cottaging.
Yes, yes. I mean, you stole the rest of our language and then butchered it. Why not take the cottages and change it as well?
Cottage. So this is a storybook adventure with 46,000 customizable options because you need all those
Oh yes, yes,
customization.
yes. Especially in
Cute.
a storybook adventure, because
Yes.
there's so many permutations that you
Oh
won't
wow, this
see
looks
half of
trippy.
those. Like the
Everyone's
art style is amazing, isn't it?
everyone's got mushrooms on their head. Oh my goodness. So it's a storybook one. Oh no, it's kind of like a 3D platformer. But very much this is a kid style. Oh wow, and then it transitions into like this is a kid's game through and through though. So cool to see. Obviously they're diversifying in their offerings. But there you go, a PS4 release game. I don't know what their mail time. But I guess maybe we'll keep seeing that from indies.
You're going to see it. You're going to see it from third-party developers and
Yeah.
publishers a lot more than you will from first-party. Sony have done with it, like we said
Yeah.
in that article, that they've not released anything for PS4 since February this year, and they're not going to be doing it moving forward. But as a third-party publisher, as a third-party developer, as an indie developer, especially as you say, the PlayStation 4 is much more prolific in people's homes than the PlayStation 5 is. Don't get me wrong,
Right.
45 million units of the PlayStation 5 sold is not a small number, but 100 million of the PlayStation 4 is a much bigger number. So
Right.
you want to tap into the biggest market you possibly can. And because of that, and especially games like this, which aren't as graphically or like CPU, GPU intensive as these new AAAs coming out, you're still going to see those launched on the previous generation. We were seeing PlayStation 2 games launched until 5 years ago. Like there were FIFAs being launched on PlayStation 2 5 years ago. Put that one into perspective. We were middle of the PlayStation 4 generation. So there's nothing to stop people supporting this hardware much further down the line. It's just your first party support must have a finite date on it. Otherwise, what's the point of these generations?
Well, cool to see. Obviously, you want to get to the market, and if you can hit 100 million homes, that's how to get your game at least some of that percentage. So, good move. Cozy gamers, be on alert. This game drops it dropped last week. It dropped 6 days ago. So, we're bringing it to you. Here is something where I see everyone on my feed doing all the time, constantly, and I am victim to it, and that is taking pictures in Spider-Man 2. It is freaking epic to do it, and everyone is always doing it all the time. I understand why Peter Parker is a photographer and invented the selfie. Because who wouldn't want to take pictures of Spider-Man? Oh my gosh. So a couple of things you can use. You can program a shortcut to photo mode on your D-pad through the settings menu. Makes it easier just to pop right into photo mode when you need it. Because usually I hit start to try to freeze the moment and then I go into photo mode. But programming a shortcut may be easier. Now, menus and the options, there's so many menus, but you got to use R1 and L1 to go over the major ones, and then you can go in between the settings. There's the sticker modes, those. I see lots of people with the headings, or like there's fun things. You can even put faces on people, change the characters, and then the lighting mode. If you're a professional photographer, you can really do a lot of cool things. I have no idea how somebody did this. How what?
There
Can you
are.
shrink
I
Spider-Man?
tuned into a stream once upon a time because they were playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I just wanted to witness somebody experiencing it for the first time. They didn't even get through the first mission in a 3-hour stream, because in that stream they were doing digital photography and it was intense. Like, you got people in the chat saying about ISO levels, about red saturation levels, about angles to change from where the lighting source should come from. If you have a robust, hugely robust photo mode in your game, you are going to get people coming along who call themselves digital photographers, essentially people who go and play games simply to take pictures. And the pictures that they produce are absolutely stunning. They are other level awesome. The composition that they have, the background blur, like this one, as you say, like shrinking Spider-Man down, and especially if the studio gives them the means to do this as well. They give them the photo mode tools to just mess around and do whatever they want in the game. You're going to get some unbelievably cool experiences. Well done to Insomniac for making it even more robust than it's been in the past. And well done to the community for going mad so far, and it's only going to get better.
What up, Ron Slusher? Hashtag make plays. Hope you're doing well, good sir. I mean, personally, let's just do some. I mean, I'm having fun with it. Like, there's punk rock Spider-Man in the street. There I am in Times Square. I'm not the biggest photographer, but like, I've gone all through it. There's the Spidey pals. There's me as okay. First of all, Japanese Spider-Man or kimono Spider-Man is freaking cool. All right, have you seen this suit?
I have
Where
not.
you're
This is beyond where I'm at in the game.
oh, it's not. It's not beyond. I mean, you can unlock these, I think, pretty early. These suits.
But
They
yeah,
come with
there's a
your
lot of cool
original
suits.
first suite.
I spent a lot of the early
Look
game
at this.
in
This
the
is
Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, and I
this is
love how good that looks.
oh really? I switched right away. I'm like, oh, my new thing is every time I switch scenes, I switch suits.
Fair play, fair play.
Because there's so much
get it.
variety. I think there's over 200 suits.
There's 200 varieties, yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on, and some of the Miles ones I really, really like. I'm currently using the tracksuit, but the black variant of it, it looks fantastic. It's basically just elongated his spider down his legs and everything. It reminds me of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 movie suit, which is what I was running around as Peter in for a while, but for Miles. It looks great. And there's a few comics suits that I want to get to that I've seen you bobbing around in with Miles in his more sort of like casual sportswear suit, which is the current comics one with where I'm reading up to at the moment. There's a few I'm very much looking forward to getting hold of and getting photos in because photo mode.
I mean, this one I love. It's Punk Spider-Man standing in front of a rhino graffiti. Like, it's just so much fun to go out there and take some cool photos. So, it's 100% worth it, and I love that they do it and make it so easy and fun. And people like to take pictures of Spider-Man. Like, that's just what it is.
There's even GIFs and memes about taking pictures of Spider-Man, so you know it's part of a part of our culture.
A part of the lore. Well, actually, now that I'm in here, well, I was gonna say we should cover the PlayStation Cloud stuff before it gets too late, and
yeah.
I think the best way to maybe cover the PlayStation Cloud is you let people know your experience, and I will pull up those images that you posted.
So the images that I've posted, they're just it's a collection of games that are available. Yeah. It's a bit of a mixed bag. There are some huge positives with it. There are some huge negatives with it. The positives are PlayStation 5 cloud gaming. So you can take a game available on PlayStation 5 and stream it to your PlayStation 5 console in PlayStation 5 quality. That means visuals of up to 4K. That means frame rates of up to 120 FPS. That means your full ray tracing. That means your full DualSense suite of feedback. It even means things like clips, capturing video clips of your gameplay. You can capture up to 3 minutes of video clips at a time, and it will both upload it to your PlayStation app and download it to your console simultaneously, so that you've got a ultra high quality version of it on your console and a 1080p copy of it available, ready to be shared on whatever internet source you so fancy. The problem that I initially faced is finding out what games are available. There is no list anywhere that tells you what games are available, because this doesn't just include PlayStation Plus games like it did previously before this update. There are some games that you own as a PlayStation 5 player that are available to be cloud streamed. But what those games are, I have no idea. I can't tell you. There's no list that exists anywhere that tells you all of the compatible games to be streamed via the PlayStation 5. So it's sort of trial and error. I went into, from the screenshots that you're seeing here, I went into my game library and just started scrolling through them. And if there was one with a little cloud symbol on it when you're in the main library and it's in its small sort of icon, then it's cloud stream available. If you're on the home page, you will see a button that says stream with a plus next to it. So finding out what is available to be streamed in PlayStation 5 quality is more obtuse and difficult than it needs to be. There needs to be an update to this service, because you can't stream these games unless you are a PlayStation Plus Premium subscriber. So give me just an exhaustive list in PlayStation Plus Premium where I can see everything that's available to be streamed, whether it's included with PS Plus, whether it's to be purchased. And if I don't have access to it because I haven't purchased, grey it out and put the price and how much I can purchase it for right then and there. Make life as easy as possible for the end user, because what we have right now isn't easy. In terms of gameplay, pretty smooth. I've had a couple of unplayable games. Uncharted 4 was unplayable. There was so much input lag. I just couldn't shoot. I couldn't fight. I couldn't do anything in that game. Even like moving cover to cover was impossible. The input lag was too huge. Destiny 2 had input lag, but it wasn't to a point of overly negatively affecting the game. Because the input lag was constant, it wasn't changing how much was lagging. I was able to adjust for it and still play the game and contribute. Wasn't as good as I would have been were there no lag, but I was able to play. Everything else has been flawless. God of War Ragnarok, flawless gaming experience, and that was on Give Me God of War mode. So you need to be on your toes, on point in every battle, so that it just works and you don't die. Spider-Man Miles Morales just swinging around the city was so incredibly smooth. Like, if I just come off playing Spider-Man 2, went on to Miles Morales, felt basically the same. Like, there was no sort of input issue or problem there. Returnal, one of the best examples of the PlayStation 5's power and the DualSense utility, was spot on and absolutely fantastic. Had no issues in Demon's Souls. Generally, it's been a very good experience, but of course, mileage is going to vary, like with all cloud gaming options. I live on the same estate as a friend. I have the exact same internet service provider. We are around about the same distance from the junction box. The two of us have very different cloud gaming experiences. Mine can be very good or terrible. His are generally meh at best. So yeah, mileage is going to vary. I'm personally very happy with how it is thus far. I want to see improvements to it, but I think overall it's been pretty decent, solid launch. And you guys will be getting it in a week's time. So Monday next week, you'll be getting it. And fingers crossed you have a very similar experience over there. Just finding what to play is just so unbelievably difficult. It shouldn't be as difficult as it is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was trying to find a list after it released in Japan, and there was just no solid list. Even today, it's just kind of, I think it's everything that was in the cloud before, and some stuff, like, it's just not clear. You're right. Unfortunate about the ambiguity, but yeah, that's a bit of a downside. Maybe it's on purpose, but this is version 1.0, and I only assume as we see updates and iterations, it'll only get better and better. Like FCAT says, there's no search bar, but it'll only progress towards that direction.
I hope so, because these are complaints that we've had for 9 years at this point in time. PlayStation Now started in 2014 with the launch of the PlayStation 4, mostly as a way so that you could have backwards compatibility to PlayStation 3, but it's grown since then in terms of what it provides, what service it provides. But there's been these niggling issues since the very beginning, like that search bar, the horizontal movement if you're using the PC application, all these sort of different things that should have been solved by now after 9 years on the market and haven't been. So I'm not surprised that it is ridiculously difficult to find what games are part of this service, especially the ones that you've purchased that aren't included in PlayStation Plus. But I wish it wasn't the case. It's like, come on, search bars were a 2000 thing. Come on, Sony, catch up. Give us a search bar, please.
Well, thanks for letting us know what's up with PS Cloud. Be sure to check out Doragon's channel with a review coming up in the near future. I'm sure you will go over all the aspects in detail. And we'll get to hear your patented Doragon's perspective.
How many people can
Which
I annoy this time? Yes.
ignites the flames. Check out Doragon's channel. Here we have Metal Gear Solid 25th anniversary. Wow, it's been 25 years since the launch of Metal Gear Solid. And the Stealth series is back. So you can play the Collection Volume 1. It is out as of yesterday. So be sure to grab that on your PS5. We have, beginning with the early 8-bit foundations of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and then so Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, and then up through the PlayStation and PS2 masterpieces of Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and the one that stands out the most in my memory, because I probably played it the most recent, is the Snake Eater one, Metal Gear Solid 3. I remember fighting in that all white, it was an all white flower lily area, and the person was
Fighting the
dressed
boss.
up in white.
Yeah.
And you would jump up and get the person, and you'd have to be stealthy and fight at the same time. It was just novel mechanics that I had never seen before in a game. So definitely worth hiding in a box too. That's you gotta hide
heck
in a
yeah,
box.
you've got to hide in a box. Like Metal Gear Solid is one of the most, for me personally, one of the most formative games going. It showed me what video gaming could be. Like I enjoyed Crash, I enjoyed Spyro, I loved Mario and Co. But Metal Gear Solid, for me, it was the first time I saw that games could be more than just a cutesy platformer. They could be serious. They could have really strong political messages. They could open your eyes to other areas of the world and other thought processes and such. And Hideo Kojima, because he's generally built for a single platform, is never sort of multi-platted with the Metal Gear Solid series. You got interesting, unique interactions, like with the Psycho Mantis boss fight on PlayStation 1. If you plugged your controller into the other controller port, you took it out of controller 1 and put it into controller 2, you managed to flummox him and beat him in the boss fight. How that works with wireless controllers, where you don't have ports to plug into, that's a bit interesting. He also read your memory card, so how that's going to work without a memory card in the system, that's going to be interesting. I am looking forward to playing these games. I am contemplating maybe looking at a PC option, because somebody has already released a patch for it, a mod patch that gives you 4K visuals in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. So it's the nicest way to play. I hate to do it to your PlayStation, but when we're only getting 720p and 1080, it's like I need to go somewhere with prettier looking things. But that's Konami's fault, not PlayStation's.
Well, Hideo is actually not on the credits for this game or the volume of
That's
the
shocking.
collection.
That is shocking. I mean, he is on each individual set of credits for each individual game. I did see that one. But yeah, to not be on the credits of
For the
the overall
collection.
collection, being the mastermind behind the Metal Gear series as a whole from the very early 80s through to 2015, that feels like, don't get me wrong, it was a very acrimonious split from Konami that Kojima had. Like, they didn't even let him finish Metal Gear Solid 5. It's half of a game that they released after kicking him out the door, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to running through this series again. It's always going to be a Hideo Kojima game. I love the Metal Gear franchise, and even things like Rising that you've got on screen. Even though it's a more action-oriented game from Platinum Games, just with Hideo Kojima overlooking it, still an amazing experience. I love the series, and if anybody hasn't played it, pick up this collection.
I have never seen this game before.
This one is actually on PlayStation Cloud. You can play
cool.
this now. It's a PlayStation 3 title. You can play it from PlayStation Plus Premium now.
Oh, look at that little ball with 3 arms. Look at him. Oh my gosh. That was adorable.
They weren't in Metal Gear Solid 4. They really weren't there.
Is this the most recent Metal Gear? Oh my goodness.
This was between 4 and 5. This was a Raiden spin-off that they made, which is just fantastic. And the music in this, like, if you like video game music, play Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance. Yeah, it's the weirdest name in the world, but it's such a good game.
Revengeance. I like it. One that looks freaking epic. So here, no, wow, they have 2 more. Phantom Pain was obviously the newest, and then they came out with Ground Zero.
Ground Zeroes was a prequel to Phantom Pain, give you an idea of it, and it was fun. A huge amount of replayability, and it's like one mission, one small open world, but you can replay it in so many different ways, find so many different things, improve your levels and such. Very cool thought process in the Metal Gear franchise. I'm kind of looking forward to Mark II, like Volume 2 of the Master Collection, if they bring that out. If for nothing else, because it'll give us Metal Gear Solid 4 on current generation hardware outside of the PlayStation 3. PC gamers have never got to play it. Xbox gamers have never got to play it. People who've come in the PlayStation 4 or 5 generation have never got to play it. So having Metal Gear Solid 4 available in loads of different places will be amazing. Volume 2 for me is going to be a big one.
Cool. I think it's due for a new one. I mean, 2015 was the last launch. Come on.
No, there was one after that, but we don't talk about it. It was called Metal Gear 5. We do not talk about it. We do not speak of it, and we do not let Konami ever make another one without Hideo Kojima.
I guess PlayStation didn't even want to mention it.
No, it was that bad. It wasn't a Metal Gear at all. It was a survival horror game that they just threw the title of Metal Gear on to try and sell more. It was an absolute catastrophe.
Wow. They're not even mentioning it. Okay, well, let's jump into some PSVR 2 news before we head out of here. New Dark Pictures Switchback VR Horde mode hits today. So I'm not sure if we covered this last week, but a cool new mode that just gives you unlimited gameplay in the VR settings, so pretty cool to see. Not sure if you have this game for VR yet, but
no, I don't have Switchback, unfortunately. It's one that people rave about and keep commenting on my videos to tell me to buy. It's just, I'm one guy with a small amount of money to my name. There's only so far it will spread. So maybe one day, but right now it's not one in my library.
But another cool point that I'm not sure if you covered 100%, but that PSVR 2 games, were they in the cloud and the ability to stream?
I saw 2 that said yes on day 1. So when I first went into the PlayStation 5 cloud streaming, it said both Call of the Mountain and Moss were available for cloud streaming, which I thought was amazing. 24 hours later, that had disappeared.
No.
In some ways, I completely understand it. Something like Call of the Mountain, you are embodying a person, and VR can bring on sickness and nausea at the best of times. If you're then trying to stream a game to your console to put onto a headset that you're wearing, and you suddenly get a jitter in your ISP, for example, or Sony's end of servers has a jitter, and you are not prepared for it, the likelihood of somebody falling over suddenly coming over with a huge wash of nausea or something similar is incredibly increased. And then you've got to think about the tracking. Like the headset does the tracking of the hand movements and the controllers and such. How's that going to work when it's then got to talk to a server a few hundred kilometers away, that sort of thing? It makes a lot of sense to not do VR via cloud gaming, but it is something I'd also be very interested to try VR via cloud gaming. Moss wouldn't be that much of an issue because it's a storybook type game. You are the narrator, you're controlling the characters from a god's viewpoint of things. So something like that, like Humanity, they would be great games to work from that sort of perspective. But yeah, the functionality was initially there and then it was removed within 24 hours.
Well, that's unfortunate. I was excited to see that. When
You and me
first
both,
told
yeah.
me. Well, here is, and the other thing I wanted to bring out, you weren't able to stream broadcast, right? And so that's
No,
the
no.
same with PS Cloud now in my area, where if you were streaming a game with your PS Plus, you weren't able to broadcast. So still no streaming via cloud unless you were using some sort of capture card.
Yeah, it would have to be the more traditional way of streaming, not the on
Yeah.
console stuff. And I know the on console stuff is great for people getting started, even for people well established in the industry and what have you. It's very easy to just start up a stream from there. And the fact that you
Yeah.
could throw cameras and everything on it as well is great. But we've got to remember this is a £450, $450 at launch, £500, $500 device now. And
With
you ask
with
that of a £500 laptop, it's not going to be able to do it. There's no way a console can.
well, the PlayStation is infused with Japanese magic. I mean, that's
I
why
mean,
we use it.
yeah, Japanese magic only goes so far. But there is
All
still, they
right.
have to then work with Western infrastructure with their Japanese magic.
Well, we have a VR title from your neck of the woods, good sir, and that is
Oi,
the
from the
Peaky
Brummies.
Blinders.
Yep. Them dollar Peaky
Um,
Blinders. The Brummies in the house.
you can immerse yourself in the epic gangsta drama launching this November. So right around the corner, you are going to be able to put on that, what do they call it? Taxi cab hat? I should have known the name for that hat.
It's a Peaky
And
Blinder hat. It's a flat cap, just with a razor
flat
blade in
cap.
the front. I mean,
Well,
if
it
I want
looks
this, personally, I'm going to drive an hour down the road and I will be in Birmingham, where the Peaky Blinders are from. I've even got like one of the places that was used as a set on it. I don't know if people remember watching season 4, so the second to final season, and there's a shootout whilst they're on canal boats. That's literally 2 minutes from where I live. So I could go to sets of the Peaky Blinders. I don't feel I need to play this game. I can live it instead. But for anybody not in the UK, this might give you a bit of an idea of what our underworld used to be like.
well, it's cool to see. I believe this is an update for an existing game.
Yes, it
Um,
is. Yeah.
it's the complete edition, so it'll be available on PSVR 2. So if you're a fan or looking for more content for your PSVR 2, with a strong IP and strong gunplay, check this one out. Out this November, and did they give us a date? Come on, with the date.
There's a lot coming out in November without a solid date on it. It's kind of worrying, really. Watch it all land on
Yeah.
like the 14th.
Well, stay tuned
Yes,
and
new PlayStation, new games, blah blah blah. Oh, here's the Portal as well. Everything on the 14th. Just have it all. Have it all.
well, that was I believe after the release of Spider-Man, they wanted to slow down the news and let that sit and sizzle. So that's all we have for today. What will you be up to this week, Dorgon? Anything we should be checking out? What's going on your channel?
So I'm still fielding left and right comments on both my Spider-Man collector's edition unboxing and my Starfield review over on my channel. So feel free to go over there and make my head explode with even more comments if you so fancy. And I am trying to get a quick review together of the PlayStation 5 Cloud. Try and get that one out for folks this week. It shouldn't be too long, but just to get it out there for folks to hear about what's actually going on. And yourself, good sir.
I
What
will
are you
be
up to?
Streaming as per usual. Tonight is family game night. So at 10 p.m. silly o'clock your time, I will be with my siblings gaming on some Fortnite. Then throughout the week, you can catch me at 10 p.m. And then hopefully at some point, because I won't be able to contain, I'll just flip it on and finish Spider-Man at some point today. So don't tune into that stream, Dorgon. I don't want you to get spoiled.
Okay. I will stay away from that stream. I'll just have it on in the background and give you the watch time.
But I definitely want to close that chapter. It's been a lot of fun. Well, thanks everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, share out, and then hit both of our links in the description and do both of those. And then until next time.
English there, yeah.
Yeah, great. That's why you guys invented it and we mastered it, right? That's
yeah, totally. Yep. That was mastery of the finest level.
Well, be kind and bring peace into the world. See you,
Until next time, guys. Take care.
Do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me. Oh, finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type, but as sick as me.